question for you. Is it worth it? Welcome to another episode of Is It Worth It to Store-Bought or Homemade? We're looking at different sauces and different types of foods to decide, is it worth it to make it yourself or buy it homemade? Cost versus convenience. We're doing a full breakdown with lots of different types of sauces and foods for you here on the channel, so be sure and like and subscribe so you don't miss one of these Is It Worth It videos and all of the other cooking videos that we have here on the channel. In today's episode, we are looking at pizza sauce. Is it worth it to buy a jar that's already pre-made from the store, or is it worth it to make homemade? Let's get to it. A look at the ingredients for pizza sauce. I have the store-bought sauce here, and I'm just gonna read ingredients off the back. Tomato puree, crushed tomatoes, sugar, olive oil, salt, spices, and garlic. And this is a separate issue. This is optional. Okay, so here's the ingredients for homemade. Tomato sauce, olive oil, minced garlic, basil, oregano, sugar. Optional if you want to add a little heat to it, a little crushed red pepper. I also have this pizza seasoning that we sprinkle on different things, and you could use this with the tomato sauce, but I'm just throwing it in here as like an option. Basically this, I would probably do a tablespoon and a half. I've never used it to make pizza sauce, but I would probably do a tablespoon and a half in that 15-ounce can. So we're gonna get 15 ounce plus a smidge, so maybe we'll call it 16 ounce by the time we add everything to it, versus 14 ounce. So pretty comparable size-wise and quantity of what we will get in the end. Price point-wise, $1.88 for this generic pizza sauce from the store. There's a wide range of prices. I think I saw one that was north of $5 or $6. It was like a specialty one. So just know the range is there, but I chose the cheapest one as a comparison. The tomato sauce is 96 cents. And if I were to break down like cents wise how much I'm gonna use, a tablespoon of olive oil, that's gonna be like 2 cents, because buying in bulk is definitely the cheapest. Minced garlic, that's maybe 10 cents. Dried oregano, 5 cents. Dried basil, 3 cents. So all in all, this is probably going to be around $1.25. Pinch of sugar, negligible really. So $1.25 versus $1.88, that's the cost comparison. So let's get to cooking this so you can see how easy this is, and then we can fairly judge the cost versus convenience and decide whether it is worth it to buy store-bought or make homemade. Okay, I might be hinting at my final conclusion here, but pizza sauce is so easy to make. We're dropping ingredients into a saucepan, we're letting it simmer for a little bit, then we're gonna use some of it and we're gonna store the rest. I'll show you how to do that here in a minute, but for now, let's get to simmering this pizza sauce so all those flavors will mix and marry and mingle, and they will be perfect for our pizza. Okay, convenience, obviously you can just open this and use it on your pizza or for your pizza inspired recipes. For making a homemade version, all we're going to do is pour this into the pot, turn this on. I'm gonna do a medium heat to get it going, and then I'll reduce it to a simmer in a couple of minutes. Okay, we're gonna add a tablespoon of olive oil. Next, a teaspoon-ish of minced garlic. I am a big fan of garlic, so I often just add how much I want to. Next, we're gonna add a teaspoon of oregano. With pizza sauce, it's oregano over basil in terms of flavor. It's kind of a difference between marinara and other Italian sauces. And then I'm gonna do half a teaspoon of the dried basil. So 1 teaspoon oregano, half teaspoon of dried basil. I'm gonna do a pinch of salt and a pinch of sugar. The reason that we're adding the sugar is to cut the acidity of the tomato sauce. Optional, crushed red pepper. I'm just gonna do a dash. There's probably about 10 that got in there, so not too much. Once I have everything added in, I'm just gonna give it a little stir, and we're going to let this simmer for a couple of minutes. Are we surprised? I'm using my favorite spinella. This is the skinny spinella as opposed to the ultimate and the mini. I use my spinellas all the time, as you probably have figured out if you've watched any more of our cooking videos. Okay, this is mixed through. I'm gonna let this stay on medium heat until I see a bubble. Then I will reduce it to low and let it simmer. 10 to 15 minutes. You don't want it to simmer too long and thicken up too much. We want it to be the right consistency of the pizza sauce. And once that comes to the bubbling and simmering for 10 to 15 minutes, I will remove it from the heat, and then we will be able to use it in our recipes, and then I'll show you how to store it. All right, the bubbles are coming. Then we're gonna reduce the heat down to low and let that simmer for about 10 minutes. I'm gonna set a timer, and then I'll be back to show you how to store it. Okay, so this has been simmering for 10 minutes, and I'm gonna transfer it into this glass jar very carefully. And I think actually it's not all even gonna fit. Let's just carefully, I'm gonna use my spinella to guide it in, and then I will let this cool down a little bit before I put the lid on. You can still see it's kind of steaming. My spinella is just scraping this pot clean. Look at that perfection into this jar. I love the wide mouth jars, especially because I can just spoon out if I just need to make like a pizza bagel. I can just spoon out what I need. There we have it. I'm gonna let this cool down before I put the lid on, and then I will store this in the fridge for up to a week. If I needed to freeze any of it, I'll freeze it in small portions or containers to use for later. I can just pull them out and defrost them and reheat them quickly in the microwave. So that's 2 ways to store it, either like this in the fridge for up to a week, and in the freezer if you need it for longer. We're gonna use this pizza sauce for pizza, pizza bagels, pizza inspired recipes. There's a pizza tortellini bake that we adore. This would be fantastic with that recipe as well. Store-bought or homemade for pizza sauce? You might have already guessed my conclusion. My conclusion is homemade. Homemade pizza sauce because you can control the flavor, homemade pizza sauce because it is cheaper, and homemade pizza sauce because it's really easy to make. All you have to do is add the ingredients to a saucepan and let it simmer for a couple of minutes. All right, you tell me what you think. Store-bought or homemade for pizza sauce? Let me know down in the comments. Also be sure and like and subscribe to the channel because we have more episodes in the Is It Worth It series, as well as other cooking and freezer cooking videos coming out all the time. All right, my friends, it's bye for now, and we'll see you in the next episode.